Yeah.
I mean, I was a bit of an idiot. I'm still quite a bit of an idiot. I just ADHD, brain, autism, all that stuff just makes my mouth run faster than my brain most of the time. Like half the time, I say things that I mean as joke, but they're like half jokes, it's like satire, and people take them seriously.
Oh, okay. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Desdemona. I'm 19. I use any pronouns, but I prefer she, they, and it. I'm gender fluid, which means my gender shifts day to day. Sometimes I'm girl, sometimes I'm boy, sometimes I'm non-binary, sometimes agender, sometimes bi-gender, just whatever.
Okay. So, how do you know?
I mean, sometimes I just know. Sometimes I have to think about it. I usually just go through my head and I think, if someone called me he today, how would I feel? I just go with the one that fits the best.
Okay. All right. What do you like? What do you like to do?
I like to program. I like to write and world build. So, yeah.
What do you write?
I mostly do world building stuff. I write OCs, like original characters. I found out recently that a lot of my OCs are just different parts of myself, which is pretty interesting.
Okay. Can you talk about your family a little bit?
3 younger brothers, a dog, a cat, mom and a dad. Yeah.
Okay. What do they do?
Well, at the moment I'm a student. Been at TAFE, did diploma last year. Either going on to advanced diploma this year, or I want to try to go to Swinburne in Melbourne to do a Bachelor of Computer Science and Bachelor of Game Dev at the same time. I looked at the Bachelor of Game Dev. It's pretty much what I've already done. I can breeze through it easily, which is why I want to look at the double diploma.
Okay. What kind of influence your parents have on you?
A lot, but I wish they didn't.
Oh, can you tell me a little bit more?
Well, I'm the eldest, which means they treated me the most strict compared to my younger siblings. I mean, most nodding yes.
Yeah. That's generally how it is.
Yeah.
I hear from other families when they're the oldest, they normally...
I remember when I was really young, like really young. It's like my oldest memory. I was like 2 years old, having like a bowl of spaghetti, and I lifted it up and it fell out of my hands and it flipped right over, and I was, really roused on for that. Yeah. But I remember when I was like 12, I saw Elwood do it, youngest brother. He was like, oh no, it's okay. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that is my basis. That is where I'm getting all this from.
No doubt, in like every family, the youngest is always
Treated better with more freedom, yeah.
So when you say they had a lot of influence on you, and you wish you didn't, what are we talking about here?
Well, found out in the last couple of years that I'm the kind of person that responds to, you heard of the expression carrot or the stick? Well, I'm more of a carrot person. I respond better to praise and affirmation and, just people going, good job. But, I was kind of raised with the stick going, you failed at this, you didn't do good, you're lazy, you're pathetic. So, yeah, it's kind of seeped into my psyche. I have pretty chronic self-worth and self-image issues now.
Are they ambitious for you?
I don't know, you have to ask them.
What are your feelings towards them now?
I mean, they're just people. Just people I live with at the moment.
Okay. Oh. What are your ambitions?
Okay. I want to publish my world. I want to just be me and do whatever I want and make video games, honestly.
Okay. What does success mean to you?
Success means whatever you want it to mean. Well, it's different for every person. To me, it would be to be able to. I want people to write essays about my creative writing. I want people to, kind of look at work I've done and go, oh wow, such influence. How creative.
Okay. What are the obstacles now?
Obstacles now is money and just ability. Last year was my second time doing diploma. Diploma is 6 months. I failed the first time because it was too much. This time, it's kind of in limbo at the moment. I don't know if I'll earn my diploma or not. So, yeah, if I don't earn my diploma, it probably won't let me into advanced diploma. If I can't get into advanced diploma, I'll try to get into Swinburne, which will cost money, and I don't actually have the means to move to Melbourne for that. So, I do have a lot of friends in Melbourne. One of my friends is moving to Melbourne from Canberra at the moment. I have a friend in Melbourne, but they don't have a job, and even though they're trying to find housing, they can't, so.
Okay. Because how I feel perceived from this conversation that we had with your brothers as well, that you interviewed, I feel like you are quite good with the words and, and how come you will still not struggle, but you worry that you might fail the diploma. Yeah.
Honestly, because I'm behind on the assignments. I went in on the days I had off to the library to do work. I put in the extra mileage. It's really difficult to work at home. Fortunately, the library is closed on weekends, which means I have to try and work at home. I mean, even our teachers say don't work at home. It's too hard. You have to separate the place where you relax and the place where you work. Otherwise, when you're trying to work, your brain's telling you to relax. When you're trying to relax, your brain's telling you to work. I've tried to explain this to my mom, and she said that it's an excuse or something. So.
Do your parents own a property?
Yeah. Well, there's a mortgage. So, yeah, but it's modern. It's the modern economy. You will own nothing, and you'll be happy. The real difference between renting and mortgage is just the class difference. It's pretty much the same thing when it comes right down to it.
Okay. Have you personally experienced some sort of the class difference growing up, or witnessed it or experienced it?
Not consciously, but I'm sure everyone has.
Can you talk about your experience?
I mean, that's my point. Not consciously. I'm sure I have, but I don't know.
Okay. So you haven't really associated with people from like working class or lower middle class?
Oh, no.
Upper middle class?
I mean, in Penno, I feel like there was quite a mix between the classes. In high school, especially before year 10, I just sat around the essays and most of them, were like, oh yeah, we live in like single family, like 2-room homes and stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a mix. It's just, I mean, it sounds really middle class for me to say, but if people's more rich than me or they're poorer than me, it doesn't affect my perception of them whatsoever.
What does that mean?
Well, it just means I don't look down or up to anyone or anything like that.
Okay. Do you think your parents could have sent you to a private school?
If they did, I wouldn't have wanted them to.
Do you think they could afford it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably not.
Okay.
No, probably not.
Do you think people go to private school, they might have a better chance to be successful or maintain?
I think going to private school gives you a second chance, because once you get kicked out of private school, you can go to public school, but it's a lot harder to get into another public school once you get kicked out of that.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, you can make a lot more mistakes if you go to private school. Going to private school in and of itself, I don't think would actually give you any better pathways, but there is a correlation there where if your family can afford to send you to private school, they can probably afford to pay your tuition to get into like college and stuff. It's just, well, that's just late stage capital. That's just capitalism, right?
Yeah. Did you work growing up?
No.
Okay. Did you have a good childhood?
I don't think I'm equipped to answer that. I mean, like, yeah, by any means you can measure it. Yeah, I didn't have to suffer through poverty. I didn't have to worry about eating. It's a tradition in our family to have chocolate every Friday.
Okay.
But, these are all things where it's like, oh, my parents can't be abusive. They sent me to private school. You know, it's that indoctrination of how your family treats you from an early age. So no one can really describe it unless you're, you know, qualified as a psychologist or psychiatrist. I tried many times to do sports, but I hated it every time. You know, when I was in primary school, I did basketball for a few years. Hated that, dropped it. Mum kept calling me a quitter. Felt really bad about it. I picked it up again in high school, hated it, left it. My mum called me a quitter again. So, yeah, she often says you don't follow through on anything. So, I mean, no, I follow through on quite a lot of things. It's just, you know, why would I force myself to do something that doesn't make me happy, just so I can avoid the title of being a quitter? That doesn't make any sense.
What did you do growing? What activities you can think of you doing?
Just creative things mostly, drawing, writing.
You're quite good at
stories.
drawing.
Huh?
You're quite good at drawing, actually.
I mean, no, I just fake being good at drawing.
Yeah, I mean, you're either good or you're not good.
No, that's not.
I don't know if you can
The world isn't that black and
Draw a
white.
picture that looks good. It's that simple. Then.
No, it isn't that simple. It's I don't know any drawing techniques. I don't know any art theory.
But is it not a natural thing though? It's natural.
No, see that is a myth.
No, it's not.
People can be natural at things, but you know, just you can train yourself in any skill. You're not naturally creative. You can train yourself to be creative. Just like how not everyone is naturally good at singing, but you can, you know, get vocal training and become good at singing.
There are some people
It's just a method. It's just you just have to be open to adjusting your way of thinking.
If you could have afforded, would you send your children to the private school, public
No.
school?
No,
Why not?
honestly, it does depend on the funding of what public schools get in the future. But I mean, no. See, I want public school to be good enough that private school isn't even a necessity. The thing about private schools is that they get more funding than public schools, which doesn't make any sense. They're supposed to be privatized. So why is the private sector getting more funding and more subsidies by the government than the public school?
What do you think that we should do to close the gap between the class differences?
Okay, honestly, a universal basic income would be an incredible policy. Universal basic income basically means that everyone in society gets a universal basic income a month, enough for people to not have to work in order to live. So, you know, enough to pay rent and enough to pay food. Most of the time in the Western world, it's about $1,000 a month. In Sydney, I looked into it, it's about $550 a week, which actually can be done. It just, you know, it depends on where the government divides their funds. Universal basic income is a really good idea in my eyes because, well, it will allow people to lift themselves out of the poverty line. Basically, a universal basic income just gives people just enough money so that they're above the poverty line. Of course, there will still be poor people, but having a universal basic income gives you the ability to spend more time trying to find a better job, trying to, you know, work on yourself, attend school. You don't have to worry about being homeless.
Okay.
Having a universal basic income also would allow unions and workers in industries such as, like, I don't know, waste management, you know, things where people don't want to live, be able to leverage themselves to have better working conditions and equipment so that they don't have to, you know, suffer.
Okay.
There would be more demand, you know, jobs people don't want to do, so they'd be able to leverage their position as workers to get better benefits, better working conditions, you know, like no human right violations. Because remember, corporations would sell your children and kill you if they can, and we know that because they have. They still do that.
How many people do you think actually in your generation will support the university income?
I have a couple conservative friends. I pitched the idea to them, and I cited sources. A couple times, actually most of the time, they were, you know, just going, "Des, just get a job. You don't know anything." It's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna swear. Your pussy was by the machine that hates. you know, you can't imagine a life better than the one you live now. So
How come you're friends with them? They're conservatives.
no, they're not actually conservatives. They're just, like I said, they're pussy whipped by the machine. They're all pessimistic. They can't view a world that's better. One of them is conservative economically, but that's just through ignorance. I pitched the idea to him. I explained the benefits and the actual studies that's been behind it, and he goes, "Wow, that sounds like a really good idea." I'm like, "Okay, congratulations, you're now a socialist."
Let me ask these two brothers here. So, do you support universal income?
No,
You?
he's too simple.
Too simple.
I don't.
He is.
I don't know.
Okay.
Exactly.
I think that with better actual education and information about it, like there've been trial runs in Canada and parts of Europe, and I mean the biggest argument people have against universal basic income is that people won't work, you know, if they don't have to, but that's not true. People work because they want purpose. You know, people don't want to just sit around and do nothing. In fact, of the people who receive the universal basic income in these trial runs, less than 1% of them stopped working. The rest of them only stopped working 10% of the time, and they spend that time trying to find a better job or try to better themselves with education.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
I think it's not about people stopping work. It's about people that never had jobs from getting jobs. If you're 18, right, you've never had a job before, or if you're 16, never had a job before, the only reason you would want to get a job at that point is if you wanted a family, or if you wanted something expensive like a car. Because
That is still a motivation.
Yeah,
that is still
I
a
know,
valid
but-
motivation. And no, you
But-
get
but-
other jobs because you want purpose. Humans
why
naturally
don't you
want
have a
to be
job?
able to,
But-
you know, having a job allows you to be a member of society.
so you're not a member of society?
Well-
Because you've never had a job, and if they did have universal income, be honest, how long would it be until you had to get a job? Because if you got, say it's like $1,000 a month, right, to live, how long will it take for you to get a job? 'Cause personally, if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't get a job till I was like 25.
I don't want to spend my time getting a job at the moment. What I want is to expand my knowledge at university.
But no, that's not the answer. It's how long will it be until you get a job if you had universal
Until
income?
I want, I mean, something.
Until education stops being an interest?
Well, it's not my interest, it's my goal.
Yeah, I know, but like you're saying that people want to get a job because it's in.
No, I'm saying people
right?
want purpose.
Yeah, no, but your purpose right now is education.
Yeah, and that is a bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing, but I'm saying the government.
It's an invalid thing because
No,
it
it's- I'm
doesn't
not saying
provide
that.
anything to
I'm
society
saying
immediately.
The government profits of people who have education as a purpose, spending money and earning money and spending that money that they earn. That's how the government profits off the younger generations, right? But because a lot of younger people have the same purpose, right? Education. They want to get smarter so they can pursue their job when they're older.
Well, no,
But-
other people just want to go to university and expand their knowledge because they want to be smarter. They,
Well,
they
that's
want to
besides the point.
expand
The point is
their
that
mind.
that the government will stop earning as much money because younger people won't
That's
get
another
as
thing.
many jobs.
For some reason, and that's another thing about universal basic income. People think that if people stop working, then they won't be able to be taxed anymore, but that is not true. It's just, no one says it out loud because saying it is stupid, but in the back of people's mind, it's always like, I pay taxes. If the government spends taxes on this, they're spending my money, but the middle and lower class aren't the only people that pay taxes, and they shouldn't be the only people that pay taxes. There's something called, I forgot exactly what it is. Get Up Australia is like the main thing. Flat 30% tax for everyone, include that's corporations, billionaires. There's no way around it. But I really forgot. I hate that I forgot his name at the moment. But he's rich, and he found out that his secretary pays more taxes than he does, and he thought up with this thing that everyone pays a flat 30% tax once they're above the tax threshold, which is 18.5 grand in Australia.
But if you earn 20,000 and you pay 30% of that in tax, that's kind of stupid, right?
You can claim tax benefits back on it, but everyone pays minimum 30%.
I think the current tax system is good, but you have to push it better. Like you have to enforce it better. That's what that.
Enforce it better. Cash. They don't not pay their taxes because of they're rich. They don't pay their taxes because they're rich and they have lawyers who can Saul Goodman this.
But if they like double down on the lawyers and stop them, like stop tax evasion. I know that's like impossible, right?
That's the point of this. You keep it simple enough for people to know. It's like, have you paid your 30%? No, sorry. Well, you pay your 30%.
But if I had $20,000 and then someone asked me, give me 60 grand, that's 30%, right? 60 grand. Yeah. No, 6 grand. Either way, if I had $20,000 and I had to pay the same percentage as someone with $20 million, I would be a bit pissed.
You don't have to pay the same percentage. They would pay more.
No,
See, like I'm
it's
saying,
the
not
same
everyone pays the
percentage,
same
it's a flat
30%.
It's the same percentage.
It's a minimum of 30%. A minimum.
Okay.
I think I'm paying close to 30% now.
But,
Yeah.
you know, people like Murdoch pays nothing. Imagine how much money, you know, they would, Australia would have if Murdoch paid 30%. Probably double our GDP.
Do you think, under the current economic system, which we run, capitalist system, do you think universal basic income is still applicable?
I think universal basic income is applicable to a capitalist society. I mean, technically it would be a socialist society, but at the end of the day, capitalism, socialism, communism are very subjective terms. They're thrown around a lot, but the point of universal basic income is to be able to allow everyone to participate in the free market without actually harming the free market. Another thing, I don't like the concept of the free market. I mean, to borrow an analogy, imagine you were on a plane crash and only 2 of you survived. You both wash up on an island, and when you wake up, you see footprints and you see the other guy woke up before you. You follow the footprints and you find him sitting on a pile of coconuts. And he has taken all the coconuts off the island, and in order to survive, you would need some coconuts. You can try your hand at fishing, but statistically, 9 out of 10 new start fishermen die of starvation. So you ask him, can I have some coconuts? And he goes, yeah, if you be my slave. So, you're at an impasse. In my opinion, work makes a mockery of freedom. You have to act, think, dress, and talk a certain way. You have to, in the modern workplace, you're following a totalitarian government, dictatorship, just so you can afford to be free in regular society. That's a mockery of freedom that people have just come to accept. I find that disgusting.
Do you think the social mobility is still possible?
Yes, absolutely. I can refer to the Strauss-Howard generational theory, which is a theory because it is a social science, which means it is not provable, but it's also unfalsifiable. I mean, you can say that about anything, really, but basically Strauss-Howard generational theory has an idea that a society goes through turnings of 20-year periods. There's a high, which is where individualism is weak, institutions are strong, and everyone is in agreement of where they want their society to head. Then there's an awakening where institutions start being attacked in order for more spiritual and individual mobility, and that's like another 20 years. And then you got the unraveling, where or it's in the name. There's more social movement in order to be more individual. And then there's the crisis, which is in every 20 years. According to Strauss-Howard generational theory, I brought this up in 2018 in history class. Right now we're in a crisis. The last 20 years was the unraveling, which is why nothing's happened. They say that there's decades where nothing happens, and then there's weeks where decades happen. The crisis started, according to Strauss-Howard generational theory, the crisis turning starts around 2024. But it's always varied by a couple of years, and you can kind of see things just in 2020 itself. 2021, a lot of stuff happened. Even more happened in 2022. So absolutely, after the crisis there's always a high. I would say being in a middle, growing up in a middle class society, you are around, or just in the middle class, you're around people who are too rich to have jobs that danger their lives, but they don't get paid enough to do anything above the average amount of critical thinking. So middle class is pretty dumb. It's full of people that are out of touch with reality and are not, they don't do enough critical thinking. So that's in the it's you see conservative parties always appeal to that kind of demographic. You got Howard's Forgotten People, Scott Morrison's Quiet Australians. It's always the same. It's people who think their voices aren't being heard to start being loud, and
Would you say that? No?
you become a cog in the machine that hates, and you've sold your soul. I would say that investors and people who are actively becoming part of the system, not sticking it to the man. Yeah, there is that possibility of being able to climb the corporate ladder, but that is such a... People in those industries are trained to think short term. They're not trained to think long term. They're always like, how much are we going to make next quarter? How many people do we need to lay off? It's always next quarter. You never think in the long term of what is my impact going to be if I'm making this decision in the next 10 years.
Okay.
You can't, being in an industry like that, you can't think long term because, there's this theory of finite games and infinite games. A finite game is something like football or basketball where the game ends and you score up everyone's points and there's a winner. Infinite games are things like running a business where there is no end, but that a lot of this has been seen many times, but when companies think that they've won the infinite game, they've lost, because they think that they've found something that works. They think they've min-maxed it. They think they've won. They're doing something that's making them a lot of money. If we keep doing this every quarter, we're going to keep making money. Nothing's going to change. How can things change? But if you're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting things to stay the same, that is insane. The saying insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. But honestly, it's the opposite. Things always change. Like I said with the straw hat generational theory, society changes. I mean, we don't have phones with keyboards anymore. I remember I remember seeing something when the iPhone came out. The CEO of Microsoft was asked, "Oh, what do you think about the iPhone?" And he goes, "There's no keyboard. It's bad for businessmen. No one's going to buy it." And look at that. No one has those phones anymore. Years later, I watched an interview with him, and they go, "So why didn't Microsoft make it into the hardware industry, unlike something like Apple?" And he goes, "We thought." I forgot exactly what he said, but he said, "I thought we had what we were doing was working. We thought we understood it. We thought we had the answer. But if you're not experimenting or thinking ahead or prepared to fail, then you're not winning the game. You're not playing the game. You've become stagnant."
Would you like get married one day?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
What do you mean maybe?
Well, I'm demi-romantic, which means I don't really feel romantic feelings as much as other people.
Okay. Possibly children, or?
If I have children, I'll adopt. I don't really. Honestly, that's not in my mind.
Okay. Oh, wow. Do you believe in love?
I mean, yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Have you ever fell in love?
I don't think so. Like I said, I'm demi-romantic. I don't get crushes. Since I'm trans, looking back, everything I thought was a crush was just me having extreme gender envy. I was like, oh wow, you get to be a woman. You get to be who you want to be. Oh yeah. It wasn't love. It was just envy.
Okay.
Do have things. For aromantic and demi-romantic people, there are things called squishes, which is like a crush, but it's not romantic. It's like, oh, you're really cool. I really want to be your friend. It's like, I want to be close to you. I want to be best friends with you. So, yeah.
Have you ever expressed your feelings to them?
Yeah. A few times they thought I had a crush on them, which is very traumatic to me because it usually means that it's an end of the friendship. Like I said, I don't get romantic feelings on people very often. It's just, I'm very caring, I'm very clingy, so. But no, I don't. When I think of marrying them, I was like, no, it doesn't make sense. I don't want to date them. I just want to be friends.
Oh wow. What do you think love should feel like, or experience like?
I don't know. It's kind of weird to think about. It's like, you marry someone, you share a bed with them. It's like, what if you're sad one night and you just want to be alone, and there's like just someone in there, just someone in your bed. It's like just some guy. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I mean, just because I'm dating romantic doesn't mean I don't believe in love or anything like that. Like, you can have platonic love with people. It's just, yeah.
So you believe in more like platonic love then?
Oh, I believe in romantic love. I just don't really experience it myself. Two or more people. I have dated before. I've had emotionally abusive relationships before. I don't really, monogamy doesn't really make sense to me either. It's like, if you love more than one person, if you love two people, why don't you just date both of them? It's like, polygamy just makes as much sense as monogamy to me. They're both equally valid. So just people that love each other romantically, support each other through thick and thin, and they need to have great communication. Like, they really need to have good communication. You can't just assume the other. You can't, like, people are naturally manipulative. I don't know, my friend called me a giver the other day. I don't entirely know what that is. He said,
A what?
a giver. It's like givers and takers. He said, there's your giver. And not many people like them. Okay. I don't really know what that means, but sure.
What kind of quality are you looking for in your partner?
They will just have to be able to listen and be able to talk and communicate properly. If there's a problem, don't focus on how I'm not solving the problem or how I'm an issue of the problem. Focus on the problem itself. Be more solution oriented. I guess I've helped my friends through breakups and relationship issues, and they've helped me through my relationship. And it pretty much always comes down to a breakthrough of communication and thinking that the other one is your adversary and someone to fight and battle with. But no, they're your partner. They're supposed to, you're supposed to work together to, be together. Don't, blame the other one and fight and shit. It doesn't make any sense.
Love or marriage or relationship with your brothers? These two brothers?
No.
Political.
You don't know when I'm political, Cash.
You always share your political opinions, Steve.
I'm very reserved at home.
You still share them.
That's reserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Jesus.
You guys just don't think about politics, so you think any political talk
I don't think
is...
about politics. He thinks about politics. He knows more about politics than me. I just don't really. I don't really care.
I think I have the capability of thinking about politics, but I choose not to because there's better things to think about.
And politics, the things that govern your life and influence your well-being
Yeah,
and
but
other
thinking
people's
about-
Yeah,
well-being.
you do that for me.
Yeah,
You
thinking
do
about
that for me.
thinking about
The
it
strength-
now is useless. 'cause I'm
Divided
50.
we beg, united we bargain.
Are you an affectionate kind of person?
Oh, I'm very affectionate.
Okay. But you said you're demi-romantic.
Yeah, I'm
But it doesn't-
romantic.
it doesn't-
No, see,
Can you-
aromantic and demi-romantic people, it's not like they don't want intimacy and affection. No, I love affection. I love giving people hugs and just being really affectionate, being really nice to people, and people being really nice to me. It's
Okay.
it's just honestly, it just comes. The only difference between, it's different for every aromantic person. Some of them, like people who are aromantic but not asexual, they still have like partners, and people who are romantic but are asexual, they still might have sex with their partners, but it's not for a sexual reason. It's just to be physically and emotionally close to them. It's just intimacy. For other people, you can't really, it's different for everyone. But for me, I just don't really, when I think of people I like being affectionate with, I don't want to date them. I don't want to marry them.
Okay. Are you good when expressing your emotions?
I've gotten better. I was raised as a guy, so in this society, men are raised to, toxic masculinity. Guys are raised to hide their emotions and bottle them up and not talk about them. But no, in the last couple of years, especially in the last month, I've gotten really good at talking about my emotions.
Okay. That's good. Do you have a religion?
No,
So what's your belief system?
My belief, you could classify me as atheist, but I honestly don't really care. So agnostic, but still atheistic belief, but I prefer agnostic. It's like, I don't believe in anything that can be presented without evidence can be dismissed without evidence, right? So, yeah, atheist, but a lot of atheists I've met and talked to, especially my parents, they're like, nah, religion's evil, religion's illogical. It's like, guys, come on. Like, yeah, we live in a secular society that diminishes and alienates anyone as other, anyone that goes against the norm and classifies them as deviants. Oh, what's that? You're dating two people at once and they're okay with it and you're all happy and you're loving each other? Deviant. You're wrong. It's not going to work out. Even my most one of my most liberal left-wing friends is like, no, I don't think polygamy works. It's like, it works. It's very clear. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's just the best you can be, the best you that, whatever you is the best you that you are, that's who you should be. You know, it's just, you know, you can pretty much spoil my, philosophy of how people should live is that I want as many people as possible to live the best lives as possible, as free as possible with, but there's negative freedoms and there's positive freedoms. Freedoms like freedom of something and freedom to do something. So negative freedom is freedom from something, freedom from taxes, but that eliminates the possibility of freedom to do something. I want to be free of a car. I don't want a car to be able to get around and live my life, but in living in a world that is, car dependent, subsidized suburbia, you need a car to get around. So, yeah, there's freedom. So people who like their cars, their freedom, they're free to do that. But I'm not free to get around because of limited public transportation.
What's your thoughts on death?
Oh God, I hope there's no afterlife. Doing this shit for eternity would be hell.
I agree. Afterlife is hell. I agree.
Okay, look, it's, death is scary, but that's just because we can't comprehend it. I mean, honestly, you close your eyes, you count to 2, that's how long an eternity feels like. So, who gives a shit?
I want an afterlife. I want to play video games and sport.
Do that now, dude.
I don't want an afterlife because you do it forever.
It gets boring and it diminishes it.
Yeah, and what's the point of living forever in a peaceful, where you have everything?
I do believe in the possibility of the soul. Not
everything.
ghosts, but the possibility that something about... I'm getting real hippie now, but... You, essentially, when it comes down to science, is just a electrochemical reaction in the brain. Going to sleep shuts off that electrochemical reaction, so you, in essence, has ended. In other words, when you sleep, your consciousness, your being is gone. When you wake up, a new electrochemical response just takes the place of the old one. So every time you go to sleep and fall unconscious, you die and a new one comes up. So that's, you think about that in a metaphysical sense, and it's the same patterns over and over again that are adapting. So what you is the same you as it was before. I believe that the you is the soul, and it is a accumulation of those patterns over and over and over again. Okay. It's like a river. That's how I like to describe it. It's like, you can't. No man can step in the same river twice because it is not the same river and it's not the same man. You can see the outline of the river, but the river is always changing. And it's never the same twice because it's always moving. The banks are eroding. It's changing. You can divide the water however you want, but it's there. So, and even after the river is dried up and it's a dead river, you can see the outline of the river. So, that's kind of how I see life.
Okay. What's a good thing in life to you?
Life. Just life. Just the ability to live is a gift in of itself.
What is the most enjoyable thing to do in your life?
Oh, I like to write. I like to world build. I like to create stuff.
When or where were you the happiest?
This last month.
Okay, tell me about it.
Well, I started hormone replacement therapy on the 6th of December, and since then I've just been a lot more happier than I've been in my whole life. Hormone replacement therapy. I'm taking feminizing hormones.
Oh, okay. Oh wow. Is it costly? If I can ask.
I mean, it costs me about $60 each time I need to refill my prescription. And plus my ADHD medication is $42.50. And you know, it becomes pricey, but I manage.
Okay.
Yeah,
list, yeah.
like I said, death doesn't really mean anything to me, but I don't want to die before I, you know, make a name for myself, right? Like going back to the river analogy, I want to be a river, I don't want to be a stream. You know, I want people to be able to see the outline of what my life was and be like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, rivers have an incredible impact on society. Rivers allowed us to develop society. If you go back to every ancient civilization, they all developed around a river valley because of irrigation. I mean, like, you know, this is talking literal sense now, but in a metaphorical sense, it's the same way. I mean, a river valley that was you know there millions of years ago is what is, you know, just through dominoes is what influenced gerrymandering in America today. Like, you know, because there was cotton fields there, so there was like a lot of slaves there in America, and because of that, because of segregation and, you know, redlining and gerrymandering, a lot, you know, there's a large population of black people, and that's just because there was a river there and it was allowed for plantation. You know, it's just incredible how small things can, you know, that's why I like world building so much. That's why I like world building so much. You know, I like to, you know, like, you know, think about the consequences of small things or big things. Yeah.
Do you read?
Yeah, I read articles, I read books. I don't, most of the time it's online, but I'm more of a video essay person. Video essay.
Oh, video essay. Okay. What kind of books or what kind of video essay do you?
Mostly non-fiction, but when it comes to video essays, I like to watch breakdowns of methods of telling a narrative. So most of the time, yeah, and that, just examining both good and bad stories.
So you like stories?
Yeah, I like stories. I also just like, I like any form of like alternative thinking or, you know, new ways to look at things. You know, I think stories are a great method, especially sci-fi, like actual good sci-fi, not that Star Wars crap that's being pumped out now by Disney. Like actual good sci-fi, like Blade Runner, or there's this really good Netflix movie called The Platform. It's in Spanish. I mean, it's quite clearly a metaphor for capitalism, but it's really good to watch. Well, it's a good thing that that historically Australia has had pretty strong unions.
Yeah.
And even now we still have pretty strong unions. I have never been a part of a union, but I have heard that some of the bigger unions in Australia are full of Christo-fascists, so I don't really like that, but at least we have unions. You know, I like it whenever... I still go to student strikes, even though sometimes I'm not a student. I go to strikes just to bust up the numbers, you know, just boost them up.
Okay.
I try to get my friends to go, the ones that are now in, you know, wage slave jobs.
Slave job?
They say, oh, but I have work that day, or, oh, but it's disruptive. Strikes are supposed to be disruptive.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, strikes
here,
is...
reckon?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
Honestly, pacifism has rarely ever worked when it comes to great social change.
What really worked?
Pacifism,
pacifism.
has rarely ever worked when it comes to social change. I like to quote, you know, go to Gandhi and stuff. Fun fact about Gandhi, he was really racist, but you know, that doesn't. I don't think that doesn't really diminish his, you know, belief on pacifism. Like, yeah, that's cool and everything, but there's this book which I started to read. I dropped it. It's called How to Blow Up a Pipeline. It's basically Ted Kaczynski's manifesto, but it's actually published. The entire thing is criticizing climate activism, pacifism, and, you know, encouraging people to take actual action and cause disruption. And, you know, vote by mail. That's, when I say vote by mail, I mean mail pipe bombs to politicians. Yeah.
What issues do you like?
Mostly I like, I could never really write. I like diegetic books.
Okay.
By that I mean books written as if they were written in the world that they're set in. So like they're written by characters in a fictional world. my favorite fictional world is Elder Scrolls because it is so you can't really talk about the lore of Elder Scrolls without using subjective language. Every other fictional world, there's like, canon and things, it's like, oh, this character said that, which means it's true. Elder Scrolls, it's just as messy and subjective as our own reality. I love it. It's also very meta. There's a Elder Scrolls is a video game franchise primarily. In the third game, Morrowind, there's this character called Vivek. He earns God title by reaching Kim. They borrow a lot of, philosophy from Buddhism. Basically, it means he achieved godhood and saw forbidden knowledge that would make most people go insane. But he glimpsed what reality was, and he, from that he became a god.
Oh.
So if you start attacking him in the game Morrowind, he doesn't fight back unlike everyone else because he knows that even if he defeats you, you can just reload an old save and keep attacking him until he dies. So he just, gives up and goes, yeah, okay, have your fun. I know you can, reload an old save. He knows he's in a video game. That's sick.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Shakespeare's, really good. I as a person who has such an influence over even our language is incredible. I don't really read Shakespeare much. I've, read Macbeth, Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, the other ones I forgot about. They're all good, but honestly, I think the plots are kind of dated by today's terms.
Really?
Yeah, it's just...
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a Seinfeld effect, right? It's like, there's so many copies of a copy of a copy that you go back to the original, it doesn't seem as good as it actually is.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, it's the Seinfeld effect. It's like, because a lot of modern comedy is based around of the framework Seinfeld left behind. Seinfeld's still really funny, but you introduce new people to it and they go, man, it's just jokes I've already heard. It's like, yeah, because Seinfeld invented it. You know what I mean? So, I definitely read some of them. I can't name, if you list some of them up, I'll tell you if I've read them. I can't, that's how the human brain works. It's more prompt based than, array, based. It's like, can you name every soft drink you've had?
No,
But if I ask, have you had Fanta before?
I have.
Exactly. I can ask you, I can go through every soft drink. You can tell me if you've had it or not, but you can't tell me, you can't go through a list of all of them and tell me if you've had them or not. I feel like that's a product of, binging something now. You consume it as fast as you want it, but when you look back on it, they all kind of blend together. All the episodes or the plot lines. That's why if you really like something, you watch it a couple. I've seen Breaking Bad 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's so fascinating about Breaking Bad?
Well, okay, Breaking Bad is just a great example of using the medium of a TV show to tell a story. When you're telling a narrative, just in general, a narrative is a discussion between the story and the strengths of the medium used to tell the story. With movies, you have to condense it into at least 90 minutes. But, using framing, golden ratio, movement, Akira Kurosawa was great at using movement in his movies. You can tell a story just through, visual information. It is directed at you, but telling us a lot of... See, I want to make video games. To me, video games have copied a lot from movies, which I think is a very... When it comes to telling a story through a video game, a lot of people have gone for the classic...
The smell.
You smell dog poo? Anyway,
Yeah.
so telling a story through a video game is, you have to tell a narrative through... there's something called literal narrative harmony, where the story the gameplay tells and the story the cutscenes tell work together and tell the same story, tell the same overarching narrative. A lot of writers for video games write stories as if they're movies, which I think is an inherently flawed way of writing a video game story.
What for? Inherently?
Inherently flawed.
Oh, flawed. Okay, flawed. Okay.
Because video games are an interactive medium, and you think the other interactive medium we have is books. I think if you write a video game story as if it's a book, then it's a lot more of a video game story because you're actually interacting with it. Video games have such a incredible power over the player to, because they're actually experiencing what's going on the screen. It's like the video game is the storyteller and you're the person listening, but you also get to interact with the story. When you're reading a book, you're interacting with the book. You're imagining it in your head, you're directing everything. You imagine what the characters sound like, you imagine what they look like. Sure, the writer can describe as best they can, but at the end of the day, it's still up to you as to how they look. It's still your own personal experiences and everything.
Okay.
There's this really good short story. I have no mouth and yet I must scream. There's no book, movie adaptation of it, but there is a video game adaptation of it, and it's one of the best video game adaptations ever.
Oh, wow.
I think it's purely because books and video games, when it comes to telling a story, are very similar.
Oh wow. What's the game again?
I have no mouth and yet I must scream.
Written by
I forgot. I honestly forgot, and I hate that I forgot, but
American.
yeah, I think he is American.
Okay.
Science fiction author. He wrote in one night. Basically, it's about a super intelligence called AM. I love that name for an intelligent AI because it's AM. It's like, I think, therefore I am. Like that's just pure.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that idea for my own world.
Okay.
And he hates humanity.
Okay.
So he killed all humanity except for 5 humans, and he just takes his revenge. Humans didn't do anything wrong to him. He just hates humans. He uses them as his playthings. He tortures them, forces them to go through traumatic experiences from their life and deal with them. And yeah,
I want to read that.
It's
short
really good.
story.
It's
I'll
really good.
definitely read it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that that's actually a myth. I think the younger generation reads a lot more than older generations.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have a study in my head to quote, but I have seen statistics that I am Gen Z, but I have seen statistics that say millennials read a lot more than baby boomers, and Gen Z reads more than millennials, and everything older generations complain about.
Oh, really?
Everything older generations complain about the younger generations. You know, that's a tale as old as time. It's actually things that are better. There's less youth crime rates. There's, you know, that more people are reading. It's, you know, I think it is just a myth by the older generation that young people don't read.
All right.
Or read less. I mean, at least before TikTok. TikTok is very distracting to the younger generation. You have a lot more time when they're younger. I mean, you don't think you do when you're younger, but you have a lot more time to do things like that when you're younger. You know, once you get older, you have more responsibilities, more things to do, more things to take care of. You know, and so you have less time. It's like, I could spend an hour reading. Or I could do this assignment. I could, you know, I could book this doctor appointment. It's just a lot more things on your mind, and reading is a time consumer. And you know, when you read, there's no immediate release of dopamine. You know, you'll get like serotonin and stuff. You know, satisfaction of I just read a book, cool. But there's no immediate like I did something, I feel good. I think a lot of people still maintain a habit of reading. It's just when it comes to convenience, it's like I said, I'm more of a video essay person. I watch hours of video essay. The longest video essay I've seen is 7 hours and 40 minutes.
Far what?
Oh, it was just about a UK TV show. Yeah. I really liked it. You know, it's like, you know, it's just the visual medium's a lot easier to digest than one where you have to. I don't like reading online because it's a mess to read things online.
Yeah,
you know, there's ads and, you know, the page refreshes and it's like, you know, you lose where you track up to. I like to have physical books. You know, like I go to the library very often now, but it's mostly to work.
All right. Do you read any like political, social science related books? Can you think of?
Well, I mean, I said earlier, How to Blow Up a Pipeline. The meaning of it all is a good one, written by one of the guys that made the nuclear bomb. It's not Oppenheimer, it's the other one. It's Citizen Science. Is the meaning of it all thoughts on by a citizen scientist? I think it is exactly. I don't remember much from it because I did read it a while ago, but there is one thing that's always stuck with me, and that's, you know, the question he asks of, is science worth anything, or is there any value in science? And he said, and he answers it with saying, the power to do something is of value. He describes the concept of keys, that the same key that can open the, heaven's door, opens the gate to hell. It's like gene splicing and CRISPR. It's a gene editing thing. I'm not a geneticist, but you can use the same technology to end like genetic diseases that kill people really early at age, but you can also use it to make designer babies and make anything, fix people when people don't want to be fixed, like anything you consider a disability but the person themselves want to consider a disability. Like, is autism a disability? Is dyslexia a disability? Many dyslexic people and autistic people would say no, it's not a disability, but people who don't have those would, is deafism a disability? Some deaf people might say yes, but many deaf people say no, it's not a disability and I don't want to be fixed.
What else TV show do you watch?
Okay, I really like Deep Space Nine.
What?
Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It is one of my favorite shows of all time. I would say the best TV show of all time, as in, okay, Deep Space Nine is my favorite story when it comes to TV shows. Better Call Saul is a much better TV show though, because it uses the medium of a TV show much better. Deep Space Nine, it's Star Trek. It's the one that's talked the least about. It's between the Next Generation and Voyager, but it is the best. Like, I can't talk about it, but I just really like the progression of the plot and rising of the stakes throughout the entire series. The finale went for 10 episodes. Like, it wasn't a 2-parter like everything else. It was a 10-parter. That's how many plot lines they tied up, how many things it's such a rewarding show to watch. But I do like Stargate SG-1 more. Stargate SG-1 it's my favorite sci-fi show.
So you like sci-fi?
I do like sci-fi. Like I said, sci-fi is, a lot of people, on the surface, sci-fi looks like, oh wow, cool future, but really, sci-fi is a reflection of the ideals and beliefs of a society of when it was written. It's something called jetsoning, Flintstoning, where you apply new world values and technology to, the ancient world, right? Like, they didn't have cars in Flintstone times, but, they didn't even have dinosaurs, but you know what I mean? Like, jetsoning is putting your own values, fears, and as a society into the future. Like, sci-fi is just such an effective tool to ask complex questions without outright asking them. Like The Matrix or Blade Runner. It's just, what do you consider a human?
Do you like Matrix?
I do like The Matrix, but I mean, who doesn't like The Matrix?
I don't know. How many times have you watched it?
I've probably watched it like 6 times. But it's just, one of the movies I watched growing up.
Okay, what about it? What about The Matrix?
Oh, I mean, it's a trans allegory cyberpunk movie. It's really cool, and Keanu Reeves is a bad actor, but he's a really good actor at the same time. Not in a Nicolas Cage sense, but he's just like, for the right role, he's always good. For the wrong role, like in Speed, it just seems like he's reading a script directly. He's not really acting, but the fresh out of water, like, confused look, the amateur acting works great for him in Matrix, because that's what it is. It's like, it's a whole new world to him. He's taking the red pill, he's looking at everything. By the way, the red pill, like, the concept of, I'm red pilled, I'm against a woke mindset, because it came from the Matrix. It's like, I know the truth about the world, but it's actually a reference to taking estrogen, taking the red pill, seeing the world for what it really is. It was directed by the Wachowski sisters. Wachowski sisters.
Which pill would you take? Which pill would you take?
I already take the red pill, literally.
Okay. Do you have any favorite philosopher, or the philosophers you like?
Oh, I think anyone can be a philosopher. I don't really have a favorite philosopher. I like Socrates because, he was so he believed in his philosophy so much that they executed him. By the way, they executed him for blasphemy, and that's just because he didn't believe in democracy. He was like, basically his view on democracy was, democracy is basically the people have the say, but the people are stupid. And he kept saying that over and over again, and people were like, okay, have some hemlock. And he was executed for that.
Wasn't he corrupting the youth by talking?
He was
about...
corrupting the youth by talking about anti-democracy.
But he firmly believed that he had a chance to escape, but he refused to escape. And then he say, like, even though like,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he died for his beliefs. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have died for my beliefs, because I mean, sure, you become a martyr, but it's like you're kind of playing into it. It's like they want you dead. So what? You're just gonna go with the system? You're just gonna do what they want?
What do you like about Socrates?
Like I said, I like that he believed in his philosophy so much that he died for it.
Okay,
Plato's cave.
Yeah, we should come back and then save the people. You want to be that kind of that person who shake your middle class friends that like, wake up. You are enslaved by this. You can't even think about yourself now. This is like all fucked. You're a slave to these wage laborers, and we're living in this.
I don't think that we live in Plato's cave. I just think Plato's cave has a lot more channels now.
Oh, that's brilliant! I love that one. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just. It's not really hard to adjust your thinking, in my opinion. You don't need to go and save people. People just need to be able to lift themselves out of it. You need to be able to show people, how to think and hope and work for a better future for everyone. I remember I was talking to my friends about socialist policies or something, and they go, "You just want everything to be free." Yeah, I want everything to be free. Why wouldn't I want everything to be free? That seems like a great world to live in. That's Star Trek. I want to live in a world where everything's free. Why can't we live in a world where everything's free? It's like, because that's just not how it is.
Okay.
That's not how it is. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Because the world is stagnant. It's never changing. Things right now are the same how they were 200 years ago. Cool. It's not like you can mobilize change for the world or anything. It's not like you have as much influence over the mass as the mass has over you.
But you actually believe that people in the cage, they have the capacity to wake up themselves, break the chain, get out from it, and then live out of illusion. People have that capacity?
Everyone has that capacity.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, everyone.
That's very optimistic.
Pessimist out of intellect, optimist out of will. I don't know who said that. I know someone said that. I just like it.
Oh my gosh. Any favorite social scientist?
I have a few, but honestly, I don't really read social science that much. I've mentioned earlier the Strauss-Howe generational theory. I like that, but again, it's unscientific, but it's also unfalsifiable. But you can say that about anything that there's a lot of raises. It's what's that one? It's Newton's flaming laser sword, which states that if it cannot be determined by test or science or experimentation, then there's no point in discussing it, which pretty much eliminates all philosophy. But yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's this one video essayist, or he writes actual essays too. I kind of like him, but I think okay, his name is Jacob Geller. He he's made some pretty good stuff. I think one of his first video essays was the dangers of capitalism and everything like that. But then, like 2 videos later, he took a sponsorship from Amazon.
Oh.
So, okay, cool.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like, participating in capitalism doesn't mean that you endorse it, but
would you blame him for it?
would I what?
Would you blame him for it?
I wouldn't blame him for it. I just think it's like it's a bit early, a bit early to sell your soul. I think sometimes he just talks about things for the sake of talking about things. Like he goes, "Oh wow, this thing's really cool. I'm going to talk about it for 30 minutes," but doesn't really. Yeah. One YouTube channel I really like. He talks primarily about. He talks about a lot of things, but I like them all. He talks about primarily video games and how to tell a narrative using the language of video games. Big influence on how I see and design and write video games, but not the main influence, obviously. DJ Peach Cobbler, he does financial stuff as well, and just not how to make money, but how the system hates you.
Okay. How about your favorite author?
Favorite author? I don't have a favorite author.
The author that you like then,
Um,
or you liked.
Ryan North is pretty cool. There's this book I have called How to Invent Everything. I use it for world building. Basically, the idea is that if you ever get stuck in the past, this is how you invent language. This is how you invent gunpowder. No, it's a pretty fun book to read. Michael Kirkbride is cool, but he's really weird. He's the main author behind the Elder Scrolls series.
What's weird about him?
It's just... Well, if you know anything about the Elder Scrolls series, he's really weird. It's like, he uses a lot of subjective language, like myself. He tried to eliminate the concept of canon in his world. He says everything anyone says, every interpretation is canon. Which, in and of itself, is not a bad idea. I mean, that's what the SCP Foundation pretty much does. You know, it's a community thing, but there's still... And the only things that are hard canon are the SCP, reports and documents. That's a way of doing it good. He does it poorly. He doesn't write it directly anymore, but he is still a major influence on the series. There's another author I like, but I always forget their names.
What he wrote?
That's the thing. It's in my head. I just don't remember what it is. It'll come to me in a second.
What is it about?
That's the thing. It's like I know I'm forgetting one.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I haven't read any Russian literature.
French?
Actually.
What about French?
I mean, if you ask some people, they say Shakespeare was French, but...
Oh, really?
Well, some people say that, but no, he couldn't have been French.
That's English.
No, he's English. He's English. I think I've read French poetry in the past,
Okay.
but I can't cite it at the moment. Sometimes I just read things. I don't really look at the authors or anything.
What about the Asians, some Japanese or Korean?
I mean, yeah, I read manga and stuff like that, and some light novels.
What novels have you read?
Konosuba,
Konosuba?
Kami Can't Communicate. Just basic manga stuff.
What manga do you like? Mainstream? Any mainstream?
I like Nichijou. That's my favorite.
Okay.
It's just a slice of life manga anime. It's really good. Just a lot of bizarre stuff. You either hate it or you love it, and the people who like it, we genuinely love it.
Okay.
Very funny.
So how often do you write?
Sometimes I can't. It's pretty much critical to my well-being. Sometimes I go to the library to work on assignments and do code, but I just can't. I just feel like I have to do world building.
Okay.
I haven't written any concrete stories. I have a whole world and conflicts and people of interest and everything, but I haven't actually written like a whole story. I just have a lot of things set up.
Okay.
A lot of
Do you do journaling?
Do I do what?
Journal.
Yeah, I write notes and things. Sometimes I have to write things about my feelings and ideas and stuff. I don't keep a journal per se.
Okay. So you write your ideas down?
Yeah, I write my ideas down constantly.
Okay.
It's a little difficult to explain. I have a lot of people very close to me at the moment.
If you can pick one?
I can't pick one.
Okay. Pick a few then.
Okay, well, Hayes. That's a friend I made last. That's a friend I made last year. We don't really talk much anymore, but they've been going through a lot of stuff recently. Ash is someone I met through Hayes. Chris, that's the person I met on Twitter. Now we're very good friends. It's just a lot of, my TAFE friends. They're supportive of me, even though if they are becoming kind of brain dead, they're kind of stagnant.
What about the three people you just briefly mentioned? Are they not brain dead yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
How old are they?
They're all in their 20s. I think Ash is like 20. Chris, I think he's like, I don't know his age, honestly.
Okay.
But they're all around, either my age or slightly older.
Okay.
Oh, Yams, Emma, and Yams is just what she calls herself online and stuff. Yeah, she's 25.
Who communicates with you most often?
The people I just mentioned.
Okay, fair enough. Do you feel lonely sometimes?
Absolutely.
Can you talk about these feelings?
I mean, you know, who doesn't feel lonely? You know, like even when you're surrounded by people who talk to you, you can still feel lonely without being alone.
Why do you think that you're feeling that? What was the?
It's just okay. In 2017, I had pretty much no friends, no one who talked to me or anything. Very depressed that year. Barely remember anything from it, to be honest. And from that, I just have traumas. Like, I have a crippling fear of being alone. So, I can talk to like a ton of people in a day, you know, and have a really good time. But then at the end of the day, if one of my friends doesn't talk to me, I just feel like shit. It's like, oh, I'm losing another friend. I'm not really good at keeping friends. At least I don't think so.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just I have this 1 year rule that after a year, people stop talking to me as often as they used to. I don't know. They get tired of me or something. It's a pattern that I've noticed. It's in my head, but there's the only evidence I have of it is just, you know, past friendships that ended after a year. So I've made a lot of friends in the last few months and the last couple of years. My main friend group I said at TAFE, I've been friends with them for 3 years. So yeah.
Okay. So what happened in 2017?
Oh, it's
How old are you? Were you in the school then?
yeah. I was at school. I was.
What year was it?
Year 8.
Oh, so year 9, year 10 was fine. Better?
It was better.
Okay. What happened to year 8?
I just kind of realized that no one really saw me as like a friend. You know, people just. I was objectified. You know, I was kind of like a joke, a meme. You know, like, oh, I was a character, right? Like everyone knew me, but no one was my friend. Like not as in the popular kid kind of thing, but more of like as in, oh, that person's kind of wild. You know, kind of, you know, they're kind of funny. You know, it's just. I didn't really have anyone I could go to. Sometimes I would burst out into tears. People go, "Hey, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But you know, that's just, you know, human nature to be like, be like, "Hey, you're sad. I'll help you now, but you can't come to me. You know, you can only come to me if I'm not busy." Yeah.
So what's your feeling towards people then?
My feeling towards people
Overall?
pretty optimistically, you know. It's like eventually, you know, you start to see the pattern in yourself. It's like, oh, maybe you're just not good at you know, being friends with people. I think if humanity was like a whole person, I've only ever lived in Australia, so don't take this with a grain of salt. I don't know every human.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be a very depressed person that hates itself. So just, you know, but it's, you know, kind of like me, it hates itself in the way where it's like, it's not gonna, you know, look, there's no point in dying, there's no point in living, so you might as well just keep going until things get better.
Okay. Interesting. I wonder why though. Like, you're probably one of the most interesting person in the documentary, but what's the trouble in making friends?
I don't know, I'm just, I don't know, I just don't have any social skills. I was bullied in primary school. I never really developed social skills. Okay, I remember people would say, "Oh, hey, Des, you always eat alone at lunch. Why don't you come sit with us?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I go sit with them at lunch. They go, "What are you doing here? Why are you sitting with us?"
Same person.
Same group of people.
Oh.
So yeah, it's, you know, it kind of fucks with my brain. It's like, I can't really, even if people tell me to do something, tell me something's okay, it's like I can't, you know, I can't be friends with them. You know, it's just, yeah.
Do you think you're good at reading other people's emotions?
No, not at all.
Okay. So,
I mean, I'll try to be, but it's like, it's not passive, it's active. You know, I base it off of, you know, how people have reacted, you know, before.
okay. So how come you did? What do you mean you didn't develop your social skill during the primary school?
Well, like I said, people bully me. I'm pretty sure I'm autistic. That's not a bad thing. It's just it was never really diagnosed. But now that I've actually, you know, been looking into that and everything, it's like it makes way too much sense.
But how come you never diagnosed? Like, what do you mean?
I mean, you know, I had a pediatrician. I was diagnosed with ADHD at a young age, but you know, I was never diagnosed with autism, which
Have you seen a doctor about it? Or?
I saw. In order to be diagnosed with something, you need to talk to a psychiatrist, which are not covered by Medicare. So I have a new psychiatrist now that I'm 18. Honestly, he kind of just pushes anti-anxiety meds on me and then, you know, writes me a new prescription for ADHD meds. He's not, you know, I'm like, can you, like, you know, test me for autism? Can I do the test and get a official diagnosis? And he goes, nah.
Well, why not?
I don't know. He just goes, I think anti-anxiety meds would help you great. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to take anti-anxiety meds just at this point in my life, you know? Yeah, my mom says I've only brought up being autistic to my mom twice, maybe 3 times. Second time I said it, she says, oh, you say it all the time. The second time I said it. And the first time was just a debrief because she asked, how did your thing with the psychiatrist go? And I'm like, he says I probably have undiagnosed anxiety and autism. And she goes, huh. She says I wear autism as a badge of honor.
Okay.
Which, you know, that's kind of fucked up. It's like, you don't have to keep invalidating me just because, you know, like, bruh. I don't know. No, it might cause trouble with me at home if she sees it, but I don't know. Maybe in a director's cut.
Right. Okay. Maybe she doesn't even aware that's the impact. I don't think she awares that.
I try to make aware of the impact, but, you know, she you're right, she really just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's, you know, it's Plato's Cave with all those channels. It's like, all she consumes is what's on the TV. So, I mean, you know, the media likes to push neurodivergencies as things that are crippling and people are like disabled and things, but that's not it. It's you're not disabled, you're neurodivergent. You're just different. You know, there's strengths and weaknesses, and you know, it's just everyone's different.
Okay.
It's not a bad thing at all.
Some other stuff that you can get.
Yeah, that's why I want the diagnosis.
If that is really the case, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I've done autism tests on my own volition, the same ones that, you know, they use to find out if you're autistic or not. They all say I have pretty high autism. So, I mean, obviously, you should never self-diagnose. Well, I mean, no, you should self-diagnose. But, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just having an actual diagnosis would allow me to get benefits from the NHS, not NHS, that's a British thing. You know, just more disability stuff.
Social support.
Social support, yeah. $160 per appointment for my psychiatrist, which I don't have. So it's not. It's an amount of work. It's an amount of money. Things should be free.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's trapped.
Yeah. Which is, you know, last time I was there because I need to go every 6 months to refill my ADHD prescription. I asked, can you test me for autism so I can get benefits for, you know, more social support by the government? And it was no. He doesn't really say no outright, but he goes, no, I won't test it for you today. So it's ironic.
Do you care about what other people think of you?
Not everyone, just a certain group of people, you know? I mean, it sounds like I'm in an echo chamber, but you can't please everyone. You know, you try to please everyone, you please no one. Just, I care about people I care about what they think of me. And that's all that really matters to me.
What about your brothers?
Again, my family's just people I live with. You know, my brothers can support me, hate me. I don't care. I don't care what they think.
How about when you growing up in high school time? During the high school time, did you care about what other people think of you?
I knew what people thought of me. I didn't care what people thought of me. I just want people to care about me.
Okay. Wow. That should write into your biography. Was it difficult for you?
Well, first I came out as bisexual, but I wasn't ready to come out as bisexual.
Okay.
I was half asleep. My mom barged into my room. I was half asleep and said, "Unlock your phone for me." She went through my phone while I was asleep, and I was like, and I woke up and I'm like, oh wait, I just got my mom my unlocked phone, and she's going through texts I have with someone, and in it I mentioned I'm bisexual, and then she pretty much forced me to come out and say, yes, I'm bisexual, please leave me alone. She goes, how do you know you're bisexual? How do you know? And it's just, I really wasn't ready to come out just yet, but I was forced to. I came out to my mom as trans in a much more funny way. I know that she's one of the kinds of people that thinks just because she isn't homophobic or racist, she's a good person. That just makes you a normal person, right?
Yeah.
So, when it comes to trans stuff, she's very, very, kind of outdated. She, likes to go, oh, I know trans people. I know. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, you've done work on drag queens. I'm not a drag queen. Anyway, so I was at the station. She started talking about because I was caught wearing like skirts and things by her, and she was like talking about it. And this was like when I was out to my friends. I said, as at the station, I said, okay, by the way, my name is Desdemona. I'm trans. I'm gender fluid, and I want to go on hormones. Bye. And I close the door, and I just leave.
What was her reaction?
What? I didn't look back because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that right now.
Okay.
Apparently, she went home and cried.
Oh.
That's a way big of a reaction. So I didn't respect her. It's like this was the only way I could come out to you like safely, in my opinion. Recently, she brought it up while me and my brother were trying to watch Breaking Bad, and then she started dead naming me using my old name, which I don't like, hearing anymore. And I go, wow, that's like the bitchiest thing you can do. Like
Did you say that to her?
Yeah, I said.
Yeah.
And she said, well, you were a child when you were dead name, so I'm going to call you dead name when you're acting like a child, dead name. Like, okay, that says more about you than it does about me.
Okay.
Like, you can be angry at someone and respect their identity.
Are you a perfectionist?
I mean, I have spouts of perfectionism, but I reckon I got it pretty under control. It's like, I work on hours and hours and days on things that just adjusting minor details that I don't need to adjust.
Like writing?
Yeah, like writing or code or anything, but, I've gotten pretty good at, managing my scope now and just going, it's good enough,
Are you good with making decisions?
I don't know. I do think about my decisions, at least in a larger sense, but, it's like, the most important thing in life is failing.
Oh, tell me about it.
Not succeeding. I've failed a lot. I've been pursuing a career in game dev since 2018. That's when I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I've started a lot of projects which didn't end up going anywhere, or I've had to drop. I failed the first diploma, and I probably might fail this diploma. But honestly, there's a saying in the game industry, and it's fail fast and follow the fun. The more you fail, the more you learn how to manage your scope and projects, and what works and what doesn't. It's the person who made Flappy Bird made one good game, Flappy Bird, and he hasn't made anything good since. It's you gotta the more you stick at something, the more you fail. If you fail at something and you still stick with it, that's how you know that it's something you want to do, right? You learn from your mistakes, your failures a lot more than your successes. It's like, you succeed in something, it's like, what did I just learn? Do everything I just did? Like, how do I know what I did wrong and just got lucky with? You don't. I mean, you can look at what worked, but what's more important is to look at things that didn't work. And when you succeed, it's harder to do that. So it's important to fail a lot. So it's important to experiment.
That's really upbringing. I like it. When was the last time you cried?
Last night,
What did you do? What happened?
well, I spent the whole day talking with friends, having a good time, and then one friend didn't talk to me, and it just made me sad. That's it. I am on hormones now, which one of the things is that you have a wider range of emotions.
Okay.
When you have testosterone in your system, your emotions are around here. And they're kind of flat, they're still there obviously, but once you start having woman emotions, they go a lot. I don't know if they come a conceit, just a lot of wider range of emotional reactions to things.
Okay.
So yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Good. Are you confident?
Only for the last month.
Is it because?
Yeah,
of,
because of hormones. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
like I get to be myself now.
What is that? Can you describe the feelings of this new new stage of your life?
Oh, it's fucking epic. You know, I get to, you know, be myself now, and it's, you know, it's a lot less gender dysphoria. There's still dysphoria, but a lot more euphoria now. So, you know, I don't feel bad just being outside now. I still don't like being outside. It's, you know, it's bright, it's hot, it's, you know, this is where snakes live. But, you know, it's not painful to be seen around people anymore.
Oh.
So
Why such a big difference?
Oh, I mean, imagine you woke up tomorrow and your head was a zebra. Would you feel comfortable going outside and being seen by people?
Probably not.
Yeah, it's like that.
So what was the before then?
I couldn't. I mean, I can talk a lot better now. I don't like my voice. It's not, you know, feminine enough.
Okay.
Trans guys, people born women, but transition into being men because that's who they are. Like actually, they're lucky because testosterone changes your voice.
Oh.
Estrogen doesn't.
Okay.
See, it's because when you hit puberty as a guy, you know, you get more testosterone in your body, your vocal cords expand and your voice deepens and stuff. When you're born a girl and you're raised and you're, you know, like a girl, that doesn't happen. That never happens. Your voice pretty much stays the same your whole life. So when you go on testosterone and transition to being a guy, it does the puberty thing and your voice gets deep. It doesn't go back when you go on estrogen. So, yeah. So I have to do voice training. So, you know, I kind of have to talk a lot higher, but I don't know how to do that.
Okay. So maybe when we do it again in 7 years, you will have a slightly different voice then.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
You can get voice surgery.
Oh. Are they expensive?
I haven't looked into it personally.
Yeah.
I mean, Elton John got voice surgery, and you know his voice started sounding like this.
Okay.
It was just so he could keep singing, though.
Did you get compliments growing up?
Not much. Honestly, not much.
Okay.
I said earlier that, you know, I'm more of a carrot than a stick person. When I was like, you know, berated, going, oh, you know, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you, you know, you're lazy, pathetic. You know, you're not doing good. You know, it just didn't feel like working. Like, it's okay. Better example. Better analogy. Don't kick the goose. I'm borrowing this from Marty O'Donnell, where one of the, you know, he wrote the Flintstones jingle and the Halo theme.
Okay.
He says, "Don't kick the goose," in reference to crunch culture. You know, everyone knows the story. The golden goose, it lays golden eggs. But you know how it ends. You know, it's you keep petting the goose, so you keep kicking the goose, getting it to lay more and more golden eggs, and eventually, you know, the goose dies. So don't kick the goose. You know, if you keep kicking the goose, it doesn't want to lay golden eggs. It probably doesn't even want to get out of bed in the morning.
Okay.
So, you know, give it more of a pet than anything else. You know, encourage it. Interesting thing, when Marty O'Donnell told the story to someone in the game industry, he said, you know, that's a really good story, but, you know, sometimes there's nothing better than a good foie gras. You know, which is a goose liver. It's a meal made out of goose liver.
You see, interestingly, when you're talking about lots of interactions, it was usually your mom. Your father was sort of out of the picture. Well,
my dad,
yeah.
he's nice, but he's very averse to conflict.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, he would just, you know, he's supportive, but he doesn't really stand up that much. And if he does, I don't see it. You know, might not being fair to him, but yeah. Like I said, he is very averse to conflict. He doesn't like getting into fights.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Apparently, he was swearing at his opponents in the basketball game.
I mean, that's a game. That's different.
Oh, okay. So I thought he was like more like a tough guy.
No. He bakes. He's at home making sugar cookies right now.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it, but you know, he's a more passive one when it comes to my parents.
Oh, so mom is the
mom.
dominant one. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Have you had any mental health issues?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Something you can talk about.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk about it a little bit? What was it like?
Well, depression. The thing about depression is that you can't cure depression. You can, practice cognitive behavioral therapy and all that stuff to, better give yourself the tools, equip yourself with the tools to deal with depression. But once you get it, you can't get rid of it. It always comes back eventually. I have chronic self-image and self-worth values. It's just, you keep kicking the goose. Eventually the goose goes, oh, maybe I deserve to be kicked, right? My friend says I have OCD. I don't know if I do. I do know there's different forms of OCD. The one they talk about in the media is the one where you have tics and everything has to be right. But there's different forms of OCD. You can develop OCD through trauma. Oh, that's another thing. Trauma. Everyone has trauma, but according to the media, trauma means going to war and coming back and being afraid of fireworks or being in a car crash and seeing dead people. No, trauma is just. I always forget the exact words to describe it, but trauma is a long sustained issue you have to learn to deal with. It's something like that. Anyone with ADHD or autism has trauma.
Really?
That's what masking is.
Masking.
Masking. It's where people who are autistic or neurodivergent, you have to kind of put on a mask that allows you to interact with people in society without them being turned off by you. It's different. There's high masking individuals, people who are really good at masking, and it's automatic, but it's also active. It's not passive. It's detrimental to neurodivergent people's mental health. Every now and again the mask slips and we might say something that doesn't really seem right, but it's like completely normal to us. It's like nothing on the Kanye level, okay, nothing like that. It's just like you might say something, that's just a little awkward and people go, oh, it's kind of weird, right? There's this video game called Darkest Dungeon. I forget which character it is. He's the one with leukemia. Darkest Dungeon is a video game where you manage a team of people going to dungeons and things, but you have to manage their mental health as well as their actual health and resources and everything. And this character, he wears a mask, and while you're in your downtime, like at a campfire or something, you can tell him to let the mask slip, which improves his mental health a lot, but it makes everyone else brings their mental health down just a little bit. Because he's being himself. That's kind of weird. But it's a metaphor. He's literally taking the mask off and he has a leukemia face. That's why they're freaked out. But it is a metaphor for masking.
Can you talk about a bit of trauma? What do you think that, if you can talk about it?
It's just being raised in a world that I didn't create. Honestly, like I said, people with neurodivergencies, are just raised in a way that is detrimental to their mental health, and you have to learn to adapt to that, or else you go insane.
Okay. Do you like change?
Oh, I love change.
Tell me about
I embrace change. The world is constantly changing. Trying to go against change and expecting things to not change is insanity. Going against change doesn't prevent change; it just delays it. Or even worse, being inactive, not encouraging change, just means that change for the better will come at a later date. It's like, that's just how it is now. Things are bad and things will always be bad. I can't imagine a better future. It's like, so I'm just gonna not do it. It's like, okay, by thinking like that, things are going to change, but they're going to be a lot slower than if you are out there being active against, doing actual social movement, trying to make the world better, making your voice heard. It's like, if you're stagnant in life, then it's just, it's true with social policy, economics, running a business, just everything. Always be ready for change and embrace it. It's like, things are bad now, but everything's changing. Things will be better in the future. Things could be better in the future. Things always, pride usually comes before the fall. Dark, the night is darkest right before the dawn. Things are always changing.
Okay.
And to ignore the change is just ignorant.